Hey everyone, welcome back to Bucky's Customs. Hey, I'm really excited about this video because I get to revamp my wasteboard. Yeah, I've messed it up enough where I can't handle it anymore. And besides that, we got a laser coming pretty soon, and I think I need to redo my board. So stay with us. Okay, so I'm really excited about doing this. It's time to replace my wasteboard. There's a lot of things that have to happen here. My wasteboard's pretty trashed. It's not as trashed as others I've seen, but it's pretty trashed. And I want to change it anyway. As I said in the beginning there, we do have a laser coming, and I want to improve this somehow, thinking about the laser, thinking ahead a little bit, and getting ready for it. I've been posting some Instagram photos of me practicing with an Ortur master, and it works really well, but what I'm really doing is I'm trying to learn light burn. So if you're getting a laser from Sienci Labs, which I hope you are, there'll be a link in the description below for that. Go check it out. I've been trying to learn the software, and it's really been challenging. It's a lot different in a lot of ways, different than the Longmill software. And there's a lot of other variables that you have to think about. And, you know, as I get going and as I get used to the laser, once we do get it for CNC, I'm going to show you some videos using it and some instructional stuff as well. Please, if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel and click that notification bell, and you'll get notified when I post something that is CNC related. What we're going to do first is I'm going to dismantle all the wiring. We're going to remove the mill all in one piece. I'm going to set it over here on my table saw. That way I can work on this table. How I'm going to do that is what I've done is I've got a base that already has MDF on it. Then I've created another base and set my long mill on it. All I'm going to do is unscrew that from the lower base, unhook all the wiring. Hopefully, theory, I'll be able to pick this up and move it over to my table saw and get it out of the way. And then we'll start working on the mill and how we're going to change that and put my new wasteboard in. Before we get started with today's project, I want to say thank you to this week's sponsor, Sienci Labs, the makers of the Longmill benchtop CNC, just like the one we have here in our shop. If you're in the market for a CNC machine and you're not really sure what to get, go to their website, cnc.com, and check out this awesome machine. You'll be really happy you did. Now let's get back to our video.
So the very first thing we need to do is we need to bring the mill forward and get the weight forward so that I can pick this thing up when I've got all the wiring disconnected. Then we're going to go disconnect all the wiring, lay it on the mill itself. Everything else that can stay will stay in my engine compartment, as you can see here, and everything that's attached to the mill will just get flopped up over into the wasteboard area of the mill so that I can pick it up. Plus we'll disconnect it from the computer and we'll be ready to go.
Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I've got a couple of screws holding this down, and I'm going to take those out. I've removed all the wiring. You saw how easy that was. And I'm going to try to leave the mill intact on this base wasteboard that I have here. Pick it up, slide it out on top of this, and then switch it over to the table saw. So, wish us luck. Should work okay. All I'm doing is just setting that stuff aside and getting it out of the way, basically. So I kind of made this thing so that I could take it apart easy enough, and this is the first time I'm doing it, so we'll see.
Now you see me unscrewing from the legs on the mill itself, and what I've done is I've drilled holes and I've attached the mill right straight through into the second wasteboard. And by removing those screws, it keeps the front screws installed into the wasteboard and enables me to be able to lift it up and out.
Okay, so I hope you can see how easy that was. The MDF adds a buttload of weight. So, be careful. If you have to, get someone to help you. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to pick this up, turn, and put it right here on my table saw. So hopefully this all works out. Try to back this camera up a little bit so you can get a view of that just in case I crash and burn. But here we go. Well, that wasn't so hard, you know. It it definitely is heavy. So um, hopefully I won't have to realign or anything like that. We'll be able to take this and set it right back on there, and it'll all be perfectly aligned. So that's the plan anyway. What I did was I needed to lower these notches so that I can get wiring in at a lower angle. This is, of course, my engine compartment where I have the longboard. I need to move this mill away and give me some more space in here. And in order to do that, I needed to widen this and lower the notches so I could still feed my wiring in there. That takes care of that. Now the only other thing I need to do is I need to trim this board, and I need to put the hinge on this side so that it opens this way. Then we're good to go there. Okay, so now I have the cover switched around, and I like the way it is like that. I think it works better this way. So now what we need to do is, I guess what we need to do is bring this Longmill up to date as far as the cutouts for that. Okay, we had somewhat of a change here. What I'm going to do to this table now is I think I'm going to put legs on it, and I think I'm going to put wheels on those legs, and I'm going to make this now mobile and stationary. I'm going to be able to attach it to the wall so I can keep it from moving around while it's running, and then I am going to put these wheels on the legs so that I can spin this around and push stock through it for when I want to tile. I've got one on there now, and it's just temporarily screwed in to so until I can get the braces put on. I'm going to put the braces all the way around, but I want to get all four legs on it before I take it off the wall, and then she'll roll around and I'll be able to brace everything up. So just shift on the fly. So that's the way we roll here.
So nothing fancy here. I'm using treated 4x4s that I had left over from, I think, a mailbox project. And I had some wheels, and all I'm going is using, I believe it's a 5/16 lag screw, and I'm putting it, there's four of them in each leg. And then what I'm doing underneath the table is using a square drive 3-inch screw and just screwing into the 2x4 frame to hold the leg in place. And then that will enable me to unhook it from the wall, make it mobile, and give me the opportunity to get around it so that I can do the bracing, as I said.
Okay, I've got all the legs on, and now I have to go grab a 2x4 that I have out in the garage and get that cut to length. I might run some lag bolts in the top on either side just to make sure that those legs stay put. This concrete floor is not level, and I'm worried about racking. So we'll have to deal with that when the time comes. I may put this table in a groove on this wall just to make sure that back side is level compared to the front. And we'll figure that out when the time comes, but I definitely don't want it to rack because that will not be good for the long mill. Hey, not only can you go to Sienci Labs website to purchase your long mill, which I'm sure you already have, you can also go there and check out their online store. Yes, they do have an online store where you can get a variety of products, accessories for your mill, dust boots, touch plates, and router bits. You can even buy a router there. And yes, I did say router bits. Sienci Labs has one of the biggest collections of router bits for the benchtop CNC that you will ever need, and they're high quality. So go to the link in the description below and check out their online store. You'll be happy you did.
Okay, we're getting there. I got the longboard back into the engine compartment, and we're starting to hook up the wires. And hopefully we get this thing back live, and we'll be able to move on to the next portion of the video, which is replacing that wasteboard.
As you can see, I have the legs all secured. That's kind of the way I think I'm going to leave it for a while. We're going to do another project, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some storage underneath it. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut out this old wasteboard, which is the title of this video, a new wasteboard. What I'm cutting is a 30 by 30. I'm going to zero off the center, and I'm also going to come out here where the taller part of the wasteboard is and do my z-axis 0. So we're going to load this file. Y'all have done this before. And simply, all it is really just an outline. I just want to cut it out. We'll pick this board up and remove it. Let's get you a little bit closer and let you watch the process.
First thing we're going to do here is we're going to zero the Z axis. And I'm doing that off the very front of the wasteboard, which is the thickest part of the wasteboard. That way, when I set my depth on my carve, I don't carve through into the second wasteboard underneath. I'm also zeroing the X and Y off the center of that 30 by 30. And here's a tip for you. That center could come in handy down the road. So what I did was I put a hole in the center of the board. And what you're seeing me do here is G-Sender has an outline feature, and I wanted to run the outline just to make sure that my extents weren't challenged there. The mill would go where I want it to go. And then basically just get everything ready. The thing goes back to center and then carves the wasteboard out. It took maybe 3 or 4 or 5 passes. I can't recall how many, but I used a 1/4 inch end mill with an upcut. And the reason why I do that with MDF isn't so much that I wanted a clean top. I wanted this dust to come out and make sure that it gets sucked out of the shop, because y'all know how I really don't like MDF dust.
Okay, so that went pretty well. Didn't expect it not to. After all, we are using G-Sender and the Longmill, so it was a simple square. I just simply ran it along the path. I took the screws out. As I put a couple screws in there, I just didn't want it to move. What do you say we try to get it out of here? Oh, perfect. Let's see. And there we go. And now we have a perfect area to install my T-tracks, and I'm going to put another wasteboard in here. Where the T-tracks are, we'll fit that in the center, put T-tracks on the outside, and then we'll put the other piece in there. And we should be done.
Okay, I removed the front piece from the old wasteboard with one of those straight cutting Japanese Houdiki saws and measure up for what size boards I want, and I go to the table saw. And of course, I've got my dust collection running full bore. Unfortunately, you'll see me not wearing a mask, which I don't recommend.
Okay, the wasteboard's in. Everything's fastened down. Right now, I need to resurface it. So I've created a pocket the size of my wasteboard, and I'm going to go ahead and carve that. It's going to be about a 1/16 of an inch, somewhere in that neighborhood, maybe a little less. But I'm going to use G-Sender. It's all ready to go, so hopefully this all goes well. Yeah, I made some changes, and I really like the changes that I made. I know I had said I was going to put a permanent grate in the table, which probably would be okay if the grate was sturdy enough to tie down or hold down my wood pieces when I want to CNC, or the wasteboard sitting on top of it. And you know, sometime in the future I might do that. But I think what I've done pretty much solves all the issues I'm going to have, at least short term anyway. The grate that I have is not sturdy in any way. I can't pull or push on it. It's merely just for setting wood on it to be able to cut through with the laser. That's all the function of that will be. The other parts of this whole project that I changed, as you saw, was as I put legs on the table. I made the table mobile. I think that's going to be a bigger help in the long run because, I had mentioned tiling. And for those of you that don't know what tiling is where your project that you want to carve is larger than your CNC is capable of carving in one time. And that is a program or part of the program that you're using so that the machine knows exactly where to start and stop. I do have a couple that I'm going to be doing fairly soon, within a month. I'm really looking forward to that. I'm going to show you a little bit, just an overview here. I'll put the camera down and I'll show you that all I did really is I made sure the legs were stiff enough and sturdy enough. And with these, I'm going to do another project in the future, putting storage under here. I didn't want to add a shelf because I know what would happen. I would just clutter it. So I didn't want to do anything right now because I honestly didn't have time. But in the future, we'll do a video and I'll make sure that I have plans for you to be able to download with dimensions and all that in case you want to do this to your own mill. Now, I made some other changes to the mill, which I'd like to point out to you again. If I could move this. As you know, this is my engine compartment. And I have bit storage in here. I put all my bits in this nice little container. Keep my tools in here. But more importantly, this is access to my longboard, to all the wiring and everything for the Longmill. Now, if you remember correctly, it hinged this way. I've changed that around because I think this is much better for me, better access. And that was really one of the simplest changes. The other one was, of course, putting a new wasteboard on here. And you know how it is when you get a tool and you put it in your shop, especially a large tool, you kind of try to figure out how and what would make it easier for you. And I thought a lot about it. I've looked at a lot of other projects out there and other people's wasteboards and all that, and their long mill enclosures, all that. I don't want an enclosure, at least I don't want one yet. I did want a new wasteboard, and what I did was major, I added 2 T-tracks. Now I have 4 T-tracks. I've made the surface 30 by 30, and I put a positive stop here like I've always had. I still have my board holding the projects down with a couple of wedges. That works out really well. I basically set it up so that in the future, when I get the laser from Sienci Labs, I can put a grate on here. One of the other things that I did was I attached it to the wall. And the reason for that is well, you might ask me, like, why'd you attach it to the wall? You've got it on wheels. I know, but where am I going to wheel this thing to? You all have seen my shop. It's not a big shop. All I want to do is be able to tile, and that means pushing stuff through. I can't do it with my mill like it is. So all I need to do if I want to tile a project is swing the mill out, and I can do up to an 8-foot piece, which is kind of cool for me to be able to do that in a small shop like this. Now, if I wanted to do a longer piece, all I got to do is unpin it from the wall, and I've got 20 feet of shop that I can use. So this is a really big game changer for me. I'm going to be doing tiling more often in the future. With all that being said, for those of you that have a long mill, thank you so much. And For those of you who don't, there'll be a link in the description below so that you can go to Sienci Labs and check out this great machine. I know you'll be happy you did. And check out all the accessories that come with this machine or that you can get with this machine. If you liked the video, folks, I really appreciate your support. So please subscribe to my channel and click on the notification bell. YouTube does an awesome thing. They let you know when I post again. So saves me the phone call. You know what I mean? But anyway, thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate it. Take care, everyone, and be safe out there. Bye.